Like every other aspect of flying, you must employ special techniques when you operate on the ground to ensure you maintain control of your airplane. Let's take a look at those procedures. When you're ready to taxi, advance the throttle just enough to start the airplane rolling forward. Apply the brakes as soon as you start forward to make sure they're working properly. You'll find that more power is needed to start the airplane rolling than is needed to keep it moving. Your speed should be kept slow, especially in congested areas on the ramp. Control your taxi speed primarily with the throttle. Although applying the brakes will help you slow down, they should be used only when a throttle reduction is insufficient. This prevents excessive wear and overheating of the brakes. Steering is quite simple on most tricycle gear airplanes. Since the nose wheel is linked to the rudder pedals, applying pressure to them causes the nose wheel and rudder to deflect and turns the airplane. Because the engine is cooled by airflow, a prolonged taxi can cause it to overheat. Monitor the engine gauges closely and follow the manufacturer's recommended procedures to improve cooling. Wind blowing over the airplane and its control surfaces is another consideration when taxiing. Let's take a look at several situations and see how the flight controls are used to overcome the adverse effects of wind. There are two general guidelines you should follow. If the wind is blowing toward the front of the airplane, turn the control wheel toward the wind and apply neutral or slight forward pressure. If the wind is from behind the airplane, turn the control wheel away from the wind and push it full forward. Let's take a look at why these general guidelines are true. When you taxi into a direct headwind, the air moves equally above and below the wings. With the control wheel in the neutral position, the airplane exhibits the same stable handling characteristics as it does in flight. In a direct tailwind, moving the control wheel full forward places the elevator in the down position. In this situation, the wind strikes the upper surface and exerts pressure on the top of the elevator. This prevents the tail from being lifted and the airplane from nosing over. A wind from the side, such as this quartering headwind, tends to lift the upwind wing and roll the airplane. When you turn the control wheel into the wind, the upwind aileron moves up and the downwind aileron moves down. The wind flowing over the control surfaces tends to push the left wing down, the right wing up, and counteracts the tipping tendency. If the wind is behind the airplane, as with this left quartering tailwind, you'll need to position the controls differently. Again, the wind tends to lift the upwind wing. It also tends to lift the tail. In this situation, move the control wheel opposite the wind direction and apply forward pressure. This raises the right aileron, lowers the left aileron, and places the elevator in the down position. As the wind blows across the airplane, the aerodynamic forces created by the displaced ailerons and elevator will counteract the rolling and tipping tendencies. The wind flowing over the airplane changes as you turn, and you'll need to reposition the control surfaces. Always be aware of the wind direction. Even in very light winds, position the controls appropriately.